decision was made either to convict him. The difference between him and Nicolas Maduro is he was actively engaged in narco trafficking. It was an ongoing endeavor.
I think it does undermine our credibility, but I'm going to move on to some foreign policy decision-making here, because despite the fact that you famously or infamously have numerous jobs in the administration, your Secretary of State, your National Security Advisor, it is increasingly unclear who's actually directing U.S. foreign policy under President Trump. We have a Special Envoy Witkoff. He's reportedly conducted Russian-Ukraine talks in Switzerland beyond your awareness. He and Jared Kushner have been described as managing the president's Gaza plan. Meanwhile, Ambassador Barrack is leading on Syria policy, while Special Envoy Boulos is appearing to lead on our Africa policy. So I have to ask you, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you, are you the lead for U.S. government on foreign policy?
No. The lead on U.S. foreign policy is named Donald J. Trump, the president
Rubio
of the United
is
States.
so good.
On the individuals you've described, these are very valuable teams. We have an if I can answer, because I think it's important. It's a legitimate question. I have the distinction, but I think both the benefit of being the National Security Advisor and the Secretary of State. As National Security Advisor, my job is to coordinate the interagency function of national security, and that involves foreign policy. So I speak to Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner in the case of Gaza, and now Russia, probably 10 times a day. We have multiple meetings and coordination. All of it is we build a team, we gather facts, we present options, and then we take them to the president. It is the president who directs the the foreign policy of the United States. That's always been the case, by the way.
You can't overrule their decisions. Do you outrank the special envoys and ambassadors? Do they get your input as
as an example?
Do they care about your input, or do they go straight to the president?
There's no time in which the president has presented an option by one of us at the exemption of everybody else. It depends on the portfolio. But in every one of these portfolios, we have a team approach to this, which is the way the system is supposed to work. It's not the way it's always worked. You have had in the past tensions between the National Security Council that became operational in the Department of State. In this particular case, there's not much conflict between the two because it's the same person. And we basically, what we basically try to do in every one of these unique missions is we create a consensus team around it, and then we present the president options together. It's the president's decision, nobody else's. There's no overruling here. The president makes the decision. Our job is to present him options.
Shouldn't they report to you? Shouldn't there be a line of command and a line of transparency?
They report to me every day.
Where does the buck stop?
But they report to me every day in terms of keeping me apprised of what's happening. I give advice. I give, in some cases, direction. They involved heavily. For example, the special envoys rely almost exclusively on State Department personnel to assist them in all of their efforts. For example, on the Board of Peace, we helped them position the entire gathering last week and all of the work that's going to happen now. On every one of these issues, it's not linear. No single individual other than the president has the ability to dictate our foreign policy. Our job is to come to a consensus view on the best way forward. Where there are disputes, those are presented to the president, and he makes the decision.
Let's talk about the Board of Peace then, because all treaties and statutes have to be approved by Congress, and the president is starting a new Board of Peace, and we would need that authority. The authority for the filing stems from the International Organizations Immunities Act, but it's my understanding it only provides the president with such authority when participation by the in an organization has been approved by treaty or statute. Treaties and statutes must be approved by Congress, so when will the administration be requesting Congress pass legislation to authorize the president to extend this benefits to the Board of Peace, creating the Board of Peace, and when will it be sent?
Well, actually, the Board of Peace was chartered and set up by the UN Security Council through a vote of the UN Security Council as to deliberation. So it's an international organism recognized by the Security Council of the United Nations, which is something I think many of you should be supportive of, the fact that we're doing it.
The president is claiming his authority is from the International Organizations Immunities Act, and this law only provides the president authority when U.S. participation has been approved by treaty or statute. I know my time is up. Please consider working with us to do these things. You know what it is to be a senator. You know what that collaboration and cooperation mean. And I think that all of us expect that respect from you and would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Rosen. Secretary, you've been very generous with your time. We have just a few comments to wind up here. Senator Shaheen.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. I hope that you will come more often before this committee.
Oh, boy.
But I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. One is that under the CASE Act, the State Department is required, as are other agencies, to give documents like the one that Senator Schatz was raising for the agreement between Venezuela and the U.S. to this committee. We have not yet received it, so I hope that we will see it in the near future. The other thing, with respect to the exchange between you and Senator Rosen, I can tell you that we have, as the minority staff, requested on multiple occasions updates from the State Department on the special envoy's negotiations on the Ukraine war with Russia, and we have been denied access to any of that information. I would hope that, number one, that would be available, because I think everybody's interested in trying to support efforts to end this war in Ukraine. This should not be an adversarial position. And number two, I would also hope that, like Senator Curtis, that you would be willing to have someone from state come before the committee. We have not had a hearing on negotiations over the war in Ukraine since I've been on this committee and since the president took office. And so I hope you will make that commitment to come, have state come and be part of a hearing on the war in Ukraine and the negotiations there.
Yeah, and we would love to do that, and I'll make sure that happens. And I will tell you, I can give you a brief update. I know it's late, but I don't mind. I mean, we can continue to talk about this a little bit because it's important. It's a very fluid situation, unfortunately. I mean, as you know, it's moving very quickly. My sense of it is that for the most part, I discussed the security guarantees piece, which was part of a meeting and efforts that took place in the early part of this year. I think the one remaining item remains the one you're all familiar with, and that is a territorial claim on Donetsk in particular. And I know there's active work going to try to see if both sides' views on that can't be reconciled. It's still a bridge we haven't crossed. It's still a gap, but at least we've been able to narrow down the issue set to one central one. And it will probably be a very difficult one, but nonetheless, it's one that work is going on. There was a meeting late last week in the UAE, which I think for the first time in many years, was trilateral, involved the U.S. presence. Jared was there and Steve Witkoff were there, along with representatives of Russia and Ukraine. They were going to follow up talks again this week in that regard, bilateral. There might be a U.S. presence, but it won't be Steve and Jared. And we continue to try to move that forward. I want to speak in frankness with you. Some of this stuff that's being talked about, it's easier for the parties engaged to find flexibility on some of these matters if they're not being deliberated in the public on a constant basis, because it creates political pressures internally on both sides. As you can imagine in Ukraine, you know, the notion that you would even consider a change in land and after all that's gone in the war is not, it's not difficult. And in the case of Russia, they've been telling their people for 2.5 years that they're winning this war overwhelmingly, so people are going to wonder, why are we giving up land if we're winning so strongly? So there's some dynamics there at play that are important. But I think if you need more information on that, we'll provide it. Just know that this has been so fluid that an update like the one I just gave you could be outdated in 72 hours if some new development occurs. But your point is taken, and we'll be responsive to that.
I appreciate that. I think the other point of a hearing is it gives people a chance to ask questions that we're hearing, as you know, from our constituents, from other people, and try and get answers. And I appreciate that it's a changing dynamic and that that's always going to be the case, and that there are issues on both in Ukraine and in Russia with respect to what comes out in public. But given the amount of money that the United States has put into supporting this effort, given the support among the American people, and given the support in Congress, it seems to me that we owe people the ability to have a public hearing and to ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Secretary Rubio, I don't answer this question if you don't feel it's appropriate, but did I understand you to say that the portion of the discussions regarding settlement in Ukraine, regarding security for Ukraine, are essentially agreed to by both sides? Because that's news to me, and it's a big news item if that's a fact.
Well, I think you could argue they're agreed to from our side of the equation. There's obviously a Russian dynamic at play here. And of course, any security guarantees would come into play after the conflict were to end. Of
course.
And so there's that component to it. But the broader point I was making is that in all these discussions about security guarantees that people are putting out there, it's pretty clear that the only security guarantee that people keep pushing forward is one that involves a deployment of some European troops on the ground, but with a very strong U.S. backstop. My point being, it was in the broader context of the NATO alliance, and that is, we have to understand that even something like that,
Okay. Give me one beautiful, awesome second. What's up, fam? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Rubio's cooking so much that he already cooked today's you. Huh. Okay. Crazy. Doesn't really happen much. Wait a sec. Oh, wow. My entire screen, huh? Okay.
alliance, and that is,
Okay, we're
we
back.
have to understand that even something like that
Racist.
in Europe, they don't have the capabilities of doing a real security guarantee without a U.S. backstop, which tells you the capability gap that needs to be closed. And it's one of the reasons why the president keeps pointing to NATO and its need for our partners to get stronger. And it is true, they've committed to 5% spending. That's obviously going to take some time. But that's really the broader point I was trying to make in that regard. But every notion of security guarantee that's been talked about and that the Europeans have pushed is one that requires a strong commitment by the United States as a backstop, which, in essence means we would be committed, potentially, in a conflict, in a future conflict. And that's something that I think needs to be understood in the context of what I've just described as the problems with NATO capabilities.
Very clear. Thank you very much. Thank you again for your time. I'm going to leave the record open until close of business tomorrow. If there are questions, I'd appreciate it if you'd assist in getting answers to those questions. Great job. Thank you for spending the time with us. We sincerely appreciate it. The American people are lucky to have you as the Secretary of State. And with that, the meeting is adjourned.
And Rubio is out. Guys, we had Trump speaking earlier today, also for the Trump accounts. What's up, fam? We're going to have the decision in about an hour. I wanted to kind of give it a look to this one. Why not? Let's go ahead and show you right here. Cut. Here it is, man. Nicki Minaj. Can you believe it? It was pretty cool. Yeah, we'll take a look at that one. They actually mentioned a few things for Coinbase and Robinhood. He was giving shout outs to a bunch of CEOs. Coinbase CEO said liable on Fox. That was it for the new crypto rules. So let me find. Oh, there it is. That's another view. There were a lot of big people there. There's Kevin O'Leary and all this. That's Nicki Minaj. Like, there was a lot of people watching and listening to the president earlier today. So I want to go ahead and watch that. So give me 1 second. That's going to be on should be on Fox. Let's go ahead and find that beauty. It's right here.
All right, let's get down to business. That's enough. And how good is Big Green Boy? He was with us from the beginning. Really started out with nothing. It's really wonderful family, Tim Mellon children. For the first time ever, we're going to give every newborn American child a financial stake in the future, head start with life, and a fair shot at the American dream, something people don't talk about so much. At least not for the last 4 years they haven't been, but now they're talking about it big. This last period of time, it's been unbelievable. When you see what's going on with our economy, the tremendous investments that's been made in our country. We have over $18 trillion coming in. The most, I think, was 3. That was 10 years ago, another country, not even our country. We have $18 trillion, and we have thousands of businesses being built all over the country, and hundreds of massive plants, so big, car plants, AI plants. With the support of the men and women here, this beautiful room, over the next 15 years, we're going to put $3 to $4 trillion of wealth into the hands of young Americans who otherwise would have really started out with nothing. It's really an amazing thing because it gives young children that start out with really nothing, and we gives them, boy, it's more money than anybody could imagine. From their standpoint, they'll have a real start in life, and that's why Decades from now, I believe the Trump accounts will be remembered as one of the most transformative policy innovations of all time. And I've done a lot of them. The tax cuts, we've done a lot of them, more than I think anybody. And I think this is going to be one of the most outstanding. Last summer, I signed the great, big, beautiful bill delivering. It made this possible, too. It actually made this possible. Without it, we wouldn't have been able to do this. Delivering the largest tax cuts in American history, including no tax on tips, no tax on overtime.
Oh, well, they have something live right now. It's Cruz.
And United States Senator from Alabama, Katie Briggs.
Automatically, and then parents and family.
Yeah, they have something live right now, but with a nasty volume. Can you believe it, bro? Really, dude?
And employers.
You guys want to listen to Ted? Now let's continue with the president, right?
No tax on Social Security for our great seniors. And, you know, we did another thing. When you buy a car now, you get a deduction on the interest payment if you borrow money. So think of it, rich people get so many deductions. I'm the king of deductions. I love deductions. But people, middle-income people, never had a deduction before. Now they're getting a deduction on interest.
All in before it's too late. Before that Clarity Act, before mainstream and retail come in. All in. That is what I tell myself. It's not easy because who wants to do it? Everybody's buying gold. Everybody's buying silver. I want to buy when the FUD is at an all-time high. Wow. It's one of those days, huh? Okay. Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay, it's one of those days then. I see. I still have you, right, guys? I still have you here. TJ and everybody here. Wow. What's up? We're here. Okay, yeah, I see you guys. I'm back. Okay, who's attacking us? Who is attacking? All the haters. Someone is attacking. Can't believe it, bro. Oh my goodness. We're experiencing a bunch of issues today, everybody. What's going on? We're not leaving, baby. Come on, computer. Come on, computer. Baby. Hey, we're doing it live. So as I was saying, I'm going all in.
They buy a car. That's going to have a huge impact on the automobile. By the way, there's one proviso. It has to be made in America. If the car's made in another country, no thank you. But they're all going to be made in America pretty soon because we have factories coming in from Canada, Mexico, Japan, Germany, all over Europe. They're all coming here to make their cars because they don't want to pay tariffs. Very simple. Wasn't very complicated. You'll see those numbers starting to produce. That's why you see these massive construction numbers. And soon, when those things start opening, you're going to see employment and you're going to see wealth creation for middle-income people like you've never seen before. Every single Democrat in Congress voted to raise taxes on hardworking citizens. Their whole campaign was raise taxes. I've never heard of it before. All my life I grew up and I hear politicians, we will cut taxes. This is the only group I've ever seen, we're going to raise your taxes. No wonder they lost. Actually, there were other reasons also. But together with the majorities in the House and Senate, we overcame their obstruction, and we put more money into the pockets of every working American than anyone thought even imaginable. Perhaps no provision.
Dude, are you seeing gold? Are you seeing gold? Can I say it? Don't you not pump it up. Guys, you can buy and trade gold on BTCC. Link is down below. Sign up right now and start trading, baby. But you can also get 2,000 XRP giveaway. TJ, why don't we go ahead and post that link for BTCC so we can let everybody give it a look. We have silver and we have gold futures on BTCC that you guys can start trading. It's crazy, bro. Like, look at this. gold and silver are cooking right now. It's incredible. So much money flowing in right now to this space. It's incredible. People that really want it. But guess what? I also want my XRP. And I know that we're going to do really well. We're going to do really well, guys. So not really at all anxious.
Of the great big beautiful bill will prove more consequential than Trump accounts. Under this program, the U.S. government will automatically create a tax-free investment account for every newborn American child, something that nobody really would have even thought of. There were some brilliant people that thought of it for a long time. They're here with us today. We're going to introduce a couple of them. But nobody really, I mean, I've had friends, the top people in business, they came up to me, whose idea was this? This is great. They said, I never thought of that. We'll fund those personal accounts with a seed contribution of $1,000, which will compound and grow over the course of their lives and could grow into very, very substantial numbers. Parents, employers, churches, states, and loved ones will also be able to add up to $5,000 in additional money for those accounts. And with every modest contribution, Trump accounts should reach at least $50,000 in value by the time the child turns 18, and could be very substantially more than that. With slightly greater contributions, the typical account will grow to $100,000, $200,000, and can even grow up to past $300,000 per child. And we think most likely, the most likely case is in the $200,000, $300,000 range. The size and scale of this wealth will dwarf all government programs ever created to benefit America's youth. There's never been anything like this. That's why everybody's talking about it. Even really people that truly hate me are making this investment. One person hates my guts. He put $1 billion into it. I said, you must like this program a lot because you can't stand me. I said, I do, but I do like you more than you think. They liked me more in the last year than they liked me before. Although we had a great first term, we can't forget that. We are the greatest economy in the history of our country, but this is blowing it away. So, every president, thank you. Every president in modern history has left our children with nothing but debt. But under this administration, we're going to leave every child with real assets and a shot at financial freedom. We'll ensure that Americans don't just end their lives with a nest egg, but instead all Americans will begin their lives with a beautiful nest egg. There's never been anything quite like this. I want to express my tremendous gratitude to a very special couple who believed so strongly in this vision right from the beginning that they personally donated $6.25 billion. That's $6,250,000,000. Even the 250 is a lot of money when you think. I mean, you know, Nikki, do you hear that money? That's big even.
Nikki, yeah, you're going to start seeing a lot of people there. And he mentions to Vlad with Robinhood, Coinbase, Kraken. Hey, we have a donation. What's up, Alex? Huge crashes follow parabolic moves. Gold, silver will correct hard. Yeah, like, I'm nobody to tell you what to buy or to sell. If you want, go ahead. If you don't, that's fine, right? But BTCC offers it. And if you want, check the link down below. You can join us. People can do whatever you want. It's your money. But I am not personally getting into gold right now because I am getting the FOMO, basically. Right now, gold for me is like, oh, I mean, you're already buying Bitcoin at $140,000. $140,000 Bitcoin. Do I really want to buy Bitcoin at $140,000? Do I really want to buy XRP at $3.80, $3.50, or $50? No. I want to buy gold. I want to buy silver. I want to buy Bitcoin and XRP when it's flat and everybody hates it. And guess what's happening? Right now, everybody hates XRP. Everybody hates me. Everybody hates what we do. This is the time, everybody. This is when you ask me, Oscar, should I buy? And my answer is, do what you want. It's your money, not financial advice. / yes.
Compared to wrapping all the money she makes, she said, she's hearing a number like that, she'll say, how many songs do I have to make to catch that? But amazing, amazing thing, $6,250,000,000 to fund Trump accounts for an additional 25 million children aged 10 and under. And that's Michael and Susan Dell, two incredible people. Where are you, Michael? Where's Michael? Stand.
These guys are giving $6 billion. Who wants $6 billion with a B? Now, that's a lot of money. I'm happy to see $6 billion, right? Well, they have enough. They're giving that to Trump accounts, the government, basically. That's crazy, right? So you have crypto companies right there giving money to the kids of America, which is good. Why? Because they also want to get in and sit at the table with Trump. So they're doing it because they like it, and they're doing it because they want to be involved. Welcome to Lobbying 101. When you are so rich that all you need is access, all you need is privilege, all you need is a seat at the table. You're so rich that you are buying your access to circles that you just need to dial in, right? You have to go in with something like a poker table. Like you have to put some money in and then you're in.
Stand up, Michael. What a great guy. What a great guy. You know, I tell you, he didn't do it for his business. He did it, I guess, probably would have been better off not to. That's a lot.
Lobbying, bribing.
But you know what? I hope everybody
The
goes
way it
out and
works.
buys Dell computers. My son, I told you, Barron, he loves that computer. I don't know what the hell you're doing to it, but he likes it. But I just want to thank you very much, and Susan. It's unbelievable, really unbelievable what you've done. So Michael and Susan made this donation in recognition of America's 250th anniversary because there's no better way to honor America's history than to invest in America's future. That's what they did. And this is perhaps the largest, one of the largest certainly, but perhaps the largest private donations of all time. That's a lot, $6,250,000,000. And somebody did say that, a friend of mine.
Look at this guy. He says XRP to $25,000. What are we gonna do with this guy, guys? What do you want me to do with this? XRP to $25,000. Ah, man, don't you like our community? Oh, man, aren't we bullish?
Very rich. He's going to put up $100 million, and he said, "Geez, you know, think of it. The 250 that Michael has is a lot more than mine, and I haven't even talked about the $6 billion." But anyway, it's amazing when Michael can start off with very little money and build a fortune where he can, routinely make such a payment and investment in the youth of our country. Michael, you're great. Thank you, man. Thank you. And I also want to say hello to and thank some very special people that have been with my administration and really become friends of mine. On occasion, I have little arguments, but generally, I would say really good. And start off with a man who's doing a phenomenal job, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Scott, thank you very much, Scott. And he loved this right from the beginning, Scott, right? He saw this and he said, wow, what a great idea that is. This is, hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time they reach 18, but we can go 21. They can keep it in longer. But
and I'll promise you guys, not in the not too distant future, just when crypto starts booming back up, it's going to be like, by the way, we cannot forget about digital assets because we are the crypto capital of the world, and America will also include Bitcoin or Ethereum, maybe Bitcoin. If Bitcoin is fine, I'm okay with that. But he's going to include Bitcoin in the Trump accounts. He has to include Bitcoin in the Trump accounts. Right now, it's like, don't talk too much about it because you have a meme coin that collapsed. You have a meme coin in Melania that collapsed. Like, everybody's looking at you because they all want you out. But just let a bull market come in, and Trump, he's braggadocious, right? I love that word. He uses is, a few times, but I really like it. He used it a lot. I'm like, wow. I mean, in the past, braggadocious. So when when you see crypto balloon back up again, this guy's gonna be like, let's go ahead and add Bitcoin. And that's when he's gonna have Michael Saylor by his side and all the Ethereum whales and maxis and Brian Armstrong and the Winklevoss brothers and Tom Lee and whoever it is. Bitcoin is gonna be in the Trump accounts. Take it to the bank.
He saw this right from the beginning. He said, wow, that's just great. And we have some other ideas that will be great, but this was one that just hit everybody. This was an easy one to think about. And again, that bill allowed us to do this. Otherwise, can you imagine trying to get this approved by Democrats and Republicans? Let's get together. We got it done. Also, a man who's made your life much easier, because those of you that are building plants and equipment so you can give your money, ultimately you're giving your money away anyway, no matter how much you make. But he's made it a lot easier. You know, approvals for big plants used to take 20 years, 25 years, and then you'd get rejected, actually. You'd go 20 years environmentally and they'd reject you. You finally, if I think of it, a guy starts young, he starts an approval process. By the time he's middle-aged, they take a vote and he loses. It's not worth it. But we have a man that's getting these things done in a matter of weeks. And the biggest plants in the world are being built right now, and he's getting them done fast. He's getting electric plants built so that we can buy them. They're paying for them. They want to pay for them so they can open up their AI plants and they can open up their automobile plants, and lesser so. The automobiles, believe it or not, take much less electricity. You're going to have to tell me why you need so much electricity to create information. I said, what's your primary product? Information. Oh, I see. Information. It better be damn good information for the kind of money. But Lee Zeldin is a star, and he has been incredible. Thank you, Lee. And, you know, I have to say this. Scott and I were talking about it. So Lee went out to California after the fire, which is...
Let's go ahead and stop here and read this really, really quick. Judy says, Chair Powell stated in his recent video, I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one is above the law. Rule of law is administered through the Department of Justice, refusing to respond to inquiries from the DOJ abuse, expensive refurbishments being made to the facilities of a government agency shows neither respect or willingness, right? Nor willingness. Because what we heard earlier today is that Chair Powell is not providing some, answering right to whatever they're asking him to do. Chair Powell behaves as if he's indeed above the law, if he continues to ignore requests for providing relevant information. That's what we're hearing today. Let's edit it 11:35 today. Let me go ahead. I already posted. Let me show you Watch It Guru. Here. It's already top news. Fed hasn't complied with subpoenas in Powell probe as policy meeting nears. There you have it. It's at the top. Ripple launches treasury platform uniting cash and crypto management. Nicki Minaj backs Trump with major donations to child savings accounts. Look at the top 3 news, guys. Powerful things. That's what I told you earlier today. There's a lot going on right now, and the markets are seeing it. We click here. Today, we're going to be watching very soon. In less than 1 hour, we're going to hear the decision, which is probably going to be a pause. And everybody knows that. If it's a cut, we're going to explode. But I don't think so. It's going to be a pause and it's going to be fine. But then we have to listen to the press briefing, the press conference right after.
It never happened. If they would have let the water flow from the Pacific Northwest, which everybody's been telling them, including me, now I just opened it up. We literally sent in the military to open it up. But if they would have let, you wouldn't have had the fires, because you would have had a little thing called the old-fashioned way, water in the fire hydrants, as opposed to empty fire hydrants. You would have had water, and most of the houses had the sprinklers on top. No, there was no water in their sprinkler in their living room. All those fires wouldn't have started. But they did start, and I will say that Lee, the most difficult permit was Lee. I went there a couple of days after the fire, met so many people on the streets who were, in many cases, fairly wealthy people, some very rich people. Some of the best houses in California burned down. And I said to them, so what do you want to do? They said, sir, we want to start immediately. Well, we'll get you permits. Now, the hardest permit, Lee, was the federal permit. Is that right? He got everything done in 20 days, right? The whole thing? Is that a correct statement or less? 20 days. So he got everything done, 100% ready to go. And I went for a meeting, and this mayor, who's a grossly incompetent person, she said, we're going to try and have the permits done within 2 years. Remember that? I got into an argument. I said, you mean within 2 days, right? She said, no. And I'm meeting all these people as I'm walking along the streets with the fire departments and the policemen, and they're all devastated. You know, they're still smoldering. They weren't even allowed to go in their property. The Environmental Protection Agency local said, don't go on your property, okay? We said, it's okay, don't worry about it. Any problem is gone. Any problem is burned. Any germs are burned. They're burned. They were burned. Nobody's ever seen anything like it, but all so unnecessary that it happened. But we got it all done in 20 days, the whole place. And yet now, still, more than a year later, they don't have permits. Almost nobody is building. So I haven't told this to Lee Zeldin yet, but I'm going to put you in charge of getting permits. I think we're going to override the local authorities because they're never going to have it. And when I was told that there's a provision where you can override the local authority to get things done, case of, because it's really, to me, it's a national emergency. What they've done to these people is horrible. It's just horrible. And they'll still vote Democrat. Can you believe it? After all, it's just, they get used to it.
Okay, we have this member of Congress saying that clarity, it's okay to pass, has the support to pass. We just got to see it passed, you know, so very good. The crypto bill appears bogged down, but one insider says Clarity Act still is in a strong position to pass. We need it to go. As you know, guys, tomorrow we're going to have a markup hearing. We have two pending, AG and banking pending. So tomorrow is AG, that I remember is the 29th, right? Yeah, tomorrow the 29th. So one, it got delayed, so hopefully tomorrow is not delayed. We'll be live for that one. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a long one. I'm so excited for that one because it's all about clarity, 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 clarity act, guys. Today is like classic Powell, but tomorrow it's us at last, crypto dedicated from beginning to end.
Although I must say we converted many. We'll probably convert a lot more. But I just want them to get into their houses. And I don't want a big section of the area built into low-income housing. They want to put low-income housing right smack in the middle of
penguin.
it. And that's not the American dream, you know? You didn't do that. And low-income housing is great. I built a lot of low-income housing, but you don't put it there. This is one of the richest neighborhoods in the world, and we're going to let those people. And I recommend it strongly that everybody gets the approval, immediate approval to build a house, and you give them a 10% bonus so they can build a house 10% larger than they had before if they want, for all the suffering they've been caused. So they can build a little bit bigger house. So Lee, if you want, will you accept the job? He's under a lot of stress. Okay, all right? Override those people. Those people are incompetent. Between the mayor and the governor, they're incompetent. They'll never get approved. They'll never.
He's talking about Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, right? Governor of California and mayor of LA, which, as you remember, early last year, we had the fires, right? That was major breaking news, so much destruction, right? But yeah, sad to see.
never get approved. So do whatever you can, Lee. There's a provision that you're allowed to do it, and we will. I'll
$3
sign
has
it in
to
2
happen, bro.
seconds,
Yeah.
frankly. It'll never happen.
Has to.
I also want to introduce a man, Frank Persigno. Now, if you met Frank, and if you knew Frank, he's quiet, but he's actually a stone-cold killer. He was one of the biggest people in business. He would have been sitting with you. In fact, now he's got a better seat because he's working for the government. He's the head of a lot of things. But the job he's done in this country is great, and he's working on Social Security and a thing called the IRS. He's working with Scott on both of them, really, but the IRS in particular. And he is a fantastic man. Where are you, Frank? Took the biggest pay cut in history. He went from being paid $35 million a year to being paid about $35 a year. I think you may have taken the biggest pay cut in history. He'd be close. He'd be one of the top 5, because a few people have done that. Few billionaires have sort of left. But Frank has gone from one of the most successful people. He worked with Jamie Dimon. I don't think Jamie likes me too much nowadays, but that's okay. I never minded that. But Frank, you are fantastic, and you're doing a great job. We appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you to the family. The director of National Economic Council, a man who's in the news a lot. You know, my only problem is I don't.
This is the guy. So he's about to talk about Kevin Hassett, his superstar, the guy who we thought he's not going to be the one. It's not going to be the one. But we thought, oh, this is going to be the next Fed chair, right? But no. Considering that he talked to the BlackRock guy, I think it's going to be the BlackRock guy. Just my intuition.
I don't want to lose him. I will tell you that he's working from a big deficit because I don't want to lose him. He's so good. Kevin Hassett. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. A friend of mine, a senator who has been unbelievable. She's a tremendous woman, married to a great football player. Her husband is a massive man. This guy, he played in the NFL, I guess, for 11 years. He was top-of-the-line player. I met him. I said, that's not a normal situation. Look at this guy. This guy was seriously powerful, big, and he's as nice as he is big. And she is one of our best senators, Senator Katie Britt. Thank you, darling. From Alabama. I love Alabama. We love Alabama. Marsha Blackburn is an incredible person. Unfortunately, she's running for governor. She's running for governor of Tennessee. I'd love her not to. I begged her. I said, Marsha, we don't want to lose you in the Senate. But I have to say they're lucky. They're lucky to get you because you are a talent and a great person, and you've been with me all the way, and I appreciate it. And you're a very special person. Marsha, stand up, please. And a senator who's a friend of mine, you wouldn't believe that because we went through a rough campaign together. It was nasty. We got along so well, and we actually did joint rallies. Can you believe it? He wanted to get somebody action, so he's smart. He said, would you do a rally with me? But we did joint rallies, and the press used to say, will you ever, start fighting? I said, don't worry, it'll come. He said the same thing. Don't worry, it'll come. He's a very tough guy, very brilliant guy. In fact, when I said, because I had never gone into a debate before officially. My whole life was a debate, but I'd never debated before officially. And I said, let me find out about my competition. Who are these people? Because many of them, they were senators and mostly senators and governors. And I said, well, why don't we start with this guy named Ted Cruz? Well, he was the best student at Harvard, #1 in his class. He was the best student at Princeton or something. And he was the national debate champion for 3 years. And I said, well, I don't like that. I didn't know that. I don't like that. And he was a very good debater, I will tell you that. He was a smart guy. But I'll never forget, because he was the first one I looked at. I've just joined the ranks of politics. And the first famous, that was the Rosie O'Donnell. Remember that? Only Rosie O'Donnell? Ireland, you can keep her. Ireland has done us tremendous.
When you ask Anybody, if you're not from the U.S., like, why is Trump so popular? It's just because of that. The guy is 80. Okay, remember that. Don't forget that, because he's not 60, he's not 55, he's not 70, or the guy is 80. And yeah, I mean, he can have his own Kill Tony Netflix. Honestly, bro, I mean, he can just be the entire 2 hours of Kill Tony. I'm telling you.
The head of Ireland said, "Are all you people this way? We don't want that." But Ted Cruz has one thing that I like. If I ever have problems, because it's hard to get people approved, he's a brilliant legal mind. He's a brilliant man. If I nominate him for the United States Supreme Court, I will get 100% of the vote. The Democrats will vote for him because they want to get him the hell out. And the Republicans will vote for him because they want to get him the hell out, too. Where's Ted? Where are you, Ted? And with all of that being said, he's a great guy, too. He's a great guy. We've become friends, and he's a very effective person, too. Thank you, Ted, very much. The man knows more about tax than anybody that I know. Jason Smith, Congressman, wonderful person. Thanks, Jason. Thank you, Jason. Great job. Idaho Governor Brad Little, terrific guy. Thank you, Brad. Georgia Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, who hopefully will be the governor of Georgia very shortly. They have a big race. He's leading by a lot in the polls. He was outstanding as a lieutenant governor. He's great everywhere, and I've endorsed him fully, so I don't want to, you know.
Oh, my gold. Oh! You know what? Now the Oval Office and the White House, they are worth much more because Trump has been adding so much gold to the White House and Mar-a-Lago too. It's like the guy is, I mean, he's making a lot of money just because gold is exploding, right? I mean, it's true. I mean, the guy loves gold, so everything, pieces, artwork, frames, and all of that, it's been gold, right? So the White House, if you ever go there, you're gonna see a bunch of gold. And now look at this; it's breaking. Everybody, about 30 minutes to go for the decision. What do you think? Is it gonna be a pause? Is it going to be a cut or a hike? Well, let me bring you reality. It's not going to be a hike. It's not going to be a cut. It's going to be a pause. Not much is going to happen. And we'll hear Powell speak. Everyone wants to hear what's up with the investigations, with the crime investigations, if he's actually responding to requests. There's just, everybody's going to be watching that. And we will be watching that. So, drop a like right now. We got over 1,000 people watching us. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications. We're really happy you're here. We're early. You know, always like do that. And yeah, we watch Marco Rubio a little bit. I was supposed to go a little maybe earlier live, but I made a video for you guys, keeping everybody in the know, since we know today is a jam-packed with a bunch of things going on. I don't care that Xrp is not doing anything. I care that I'm doing something. Adding to my bags, not during the FOMO when everybody's going to be like, add it when the hate is on and when the FUD is all the way. You don't even see the light at the end of the tunnel because you're buying your bags in. That's the real people, the real OGs. So, because we're going to go higher. We have to. We will go higher. We're buying before Clarity Act, everybody. I want to just speak facts, right? That's just the way we do it here in the channel. So, links down below, everybody. Very happy that you're here.
Do anything that you don't know about. I have given him my complete and total endorsement. Burt Jones, where are you, Burt? Thank you, Burt. Great guy. Chief Design Officer of the United States, Joe Gebbia. Joe, thank you. Great idea, great ideas. Also, we have Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary. I like Kevin O'Leary. Where's Kevin O'Leary?
Mr. Wonderful.
Kevin, it's so nice. He's with me 90% of the time, but when he's with me, he's really with me. Great. And we got the TikTok deal done. Who the hell thought we could do that, right? I know. I wish he wanted to buy TikTok so much, and I would have done it, but his price was slightly lower. Slightly. He's fantastic. What a good, you're an entertainer, businessman, you had the whole quality, so I appreciate. I know what you did. Having done The Apprentice, I see you on television, you have what it takes, right? So I appreciate it, and thanks for all the nice things you do. And Cheryl Hines, where's Cheryl? Wow. Married to a very, very powerful, important man. And I said, I'll tell you, Bobby, she's strong. I watched her in an interview. I said, Bobby, you keep him in line, don't you, huh? She said, yes, I do. She's got no choice. He's doing a great job, and so are you. Yeah, he's doing a great job. He's doing a very different kind of a job, too, and he's doing things that people have wanted to do for a long time. And they didn't have the courage, so say hello to Bobby, okay? We're also pleased, my daughter, she went crazy when she heard that this was happening. I want to go. You know, she happens to be in the wrong state right now for that, but when she heard that there's a certain person that's here who's the greatest and most successful female rapper in history, Nicki Minaj. Come on. And, you know, and Nicki makes a lot of cash. Not as much as Michael Dell, not quite. Not as much, but that's okay. But Nicki makes a lot of money, and she's generously stepping up. She's investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in Trump accounts to support the children and really the children of her incredible fans. That's great. Focus on that. Why should you give to somebody else's fans? Give to your fans. I like that. But, and I just think she's great. You know, I've been hearing so much over the years, because I didn't know Nicki, and I've been hearing over the years she's a big Trump supporter and a Trump fan, and she took a little heat on occasion. Her community isn't necessarily, I tell you, we did pretty damn well with that, with your community, as we say. But Nicki has been an unbelievable supporter. She gets almost as much as Mr. Wonderful over here. He's been another one that's been so good. But I'd like to ask you to come up, Nicki. Come on up. Come on. She's been such a great supporter, and a great supporter of Trump accounts.
So we'll hear her speak. Yeah, the audio on this, it's only giving us the left. No worries. Usually you are going to be hearing from the two sides, but it's just this. And we'll soon turn to FOMC time.
And I said, I'm going to let my nails grow, because I love those nails. I'm going to let those nails grow. She's so good. She's been MAGA. What can I say? She's been with us all the way, right, Alex? She's been with us all the way. And just want to thank her. And it wasn't so easy. For you, it was easier, right? You want to come up? You want to come up? Mr. Wonderful, come on up here. You've been terrific. Come on up.
Yeah, he always wants to be there. The shark. Listen, listen, listen.
Hello. Well, I don't know what to say, but I will say that I am probably the president's #1 fan. And that's not going to change. And the hate, or what people have to say, it does not affect me at all. It actually motivates me to support him more.
Oh.
And it's going to motivate all of us to support him more. We're not going to let them get away with bullying him and, you know, the smear campaigns. It's not going to work, okay? He has a lot of force behind him, and God is protecting him. Amen.
Well done. Well said. Well said.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Stay right here.
On behalf of all the entrepreneurs in America, I'd like to thank you, Mr. President, because We create 72% of the jobs. Companies 5 to 500 employees, and all we care about is policy. We love policy, pro-business policy, and these accounts are fantastic for independence and support. I thank you very much. It's all about the entrepreneur, and I think you know that, sir.
Mr. Watch Guy.
Well, that was great. A little interlude. I don't know. That's better than getting Scott Bessent up. Thank you both very much. Two terrific people. When Trump accounts officially launch on July 4th of this year, every parent will be able to activate their accounts and access the funds at the trumpaccounts.gov. So it's all set up, all ready to go. It's beautiful. The site is beautiful. On that glorious day, we also expect to have commitments from generous private individuals in all 50 states, and they'll be making additional contributions for children in their own states. And already legendary investor Ray Dalio has pledged to adopt the entire state of Connecticut. That's pretty good, Michael. And thank you very much, Ray. Great legend. And today, one of the original advocates of this program has agreed to adopt his home state of Indiana, Brad Gerstner. And Brad's here someplace. Where's Brad? Come on. I think Michael and Brad, would you come up here, please? Come up here. I mean, this isn't exactly Mr. Wonderful and Nikki. But I think they might be worth more money than Mr. Wonderful, right? These guys are worth a lot of money. But Brad is donating, listen to this, $250.
Dude, when he said Brad, I'm like, nah, no, not our Brad, not our Brad. I was like already getting, because I wasn't live when it was live, right? And I'm like, I was eating, I was having breakfast. And I'm like, no way did I actually miss Brad Garlinghouse. But no, I'm like, okay. I would have never forgiven myself. Never.
Dollars to Trump accounts for all children under 5 in Indiana. So every children, all the children under 5, 250, and he'll be donating tens of millions of dollars more in matching contributions to millions of children all across the country. He's going to make a massive donation already. We know what it is. Brad is not only one of the most successful business people, he's the founder of the Invest America Foundation. And he's been working on this idea for years, and he was the one. He went over to see Michael. Michael loved it, and those two were a hell of a team, along with Mrs. Dell, who's been so great, Susan. I also delighted to report that dozens of major employers have signed up to add the Trump account contribution.
Here it comes. Coinbase, Kraken, Robinhood. What does that mean, everybody? That the crypto industry is closer than ever to the Trump administration, to our government. And that's good. When the Clarity Act passes, you better already be loaded up. Bags loaded, fam. Or it will be too late.
Contributions to the employee benefit packages, including Uber, Schwab, Charter Communications, and many, many others. And just today it was announced that Intel, NVIDIA, Broadcom, IBM, Steak and Shake, Coinbase, Continental Resources, and Comcast have all signed up for really big contributions. So I want to thank them. I want to have you two guys come on up. Would you say a couple of words? Brad and Michael, would you say a couple of words? That's a fantastic. Only
Let
Indiana,
Brad
you
speak.
can't do bigger. We love Indiana, but you know, how about Indiana, Iowa? No, we appreciate it. Big numbers. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, 4 years ago, we set off on a journey to reconnect every child in America with the American dream. This president ran on a Main Street agenda that too many people had been left out and left behind. And his articulation of no tax on tips, that doesn't help rich folks. That helps those left out and left behind. No tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. And when Ted Cruz authored the Invest America Act in the Senate, and Michael Dell partnered with me to bring the private sector to bear on this, we had the opportunity that this president was willing to sign. He immediately understood the impact. That this wasn't about the wealthy folks in America. This was about the 50 million American families who will be lifted up and reconnected to the American dream, because this is now the law of the land. Forevermore, every child in America, from rural Missouri to rural Indiana, from Trenton to Compton, is going to start off life with an investment account at birth, seeded with $1,000, where they privately own NVIDIA and Microsoft, all the greatest companies in this country, right? Not dependent on government, independent from government. Not more socialism. The answer to more socialism is more capitalism. This makes every child in America a capitalist from birth, and it would not have happened without the leadership of our Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, without the leadership of the Speaker and Ted Cruz in the Senate, but most importantly, and every business leader in America will tell you this, for too long they had no access in Washington to the White House. People didn't want to hear their ideas. This president is voracious in his desire to hear from America's leaders about how to make America better. This is citizen democracy at its best. An idea that started around a kitchen table in Silicon Valley makes its way to this day. I'm humbled and honored to be here, and I'm grateful for your leadership.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you heard from Brad, the fact that this bill got passed itself was a miracle, and it creates a platform for communities, for families, for corporations, for philanthropists to add to these accounts. And in not too many years, essentially every child in America will have savings invested in the greatest companies in this country. And that will change the face of this country over the next 10, 20, 30 years. We couldn't be more excited about this and the opportunity to make a difference. The best investment a country can make is in its people, especially in its children. And this creates an incredible platform for that to occur at enormous scale. And we're excited to see it all come together. Thank you all so much.
Let Brad speak. One day, everybody. Billionaires.
Those are two fantastic people, I can tell you that. I want to give a very special thanks to some of the CEOs here this morning. Vlad Tenev of Robinhood, what a job he's done. Where's Vlad? What a job you've done. Young guy. Nice young guy, too. Arjun Sethi of Kraken. Arjun, thank you very much, wherever you are. Thank you. Anthony Noto of SoFi Technologies. SoFi. Thank you very much, Anthony. Right. These are the ones you read about, and Bill Ackman is here, Pershing Square, and Hock Tan of Broadcom, and so many others that if I name them, we'll be up here all day. But I just want to say that what a job you've all done. Incredible job. Everybody. Just about everybody in this room. Not everybody. I'm not in love with everybody, but a couple of them I don't like very much. But if they're here, I'm starting to like them a lot better because they're here for a very good reason. I'm officially calling on all employers all across America to follow the lead of many of these amazing companies and make matching Trump account contributions to benefit for the American worker, and they're going to benefit the American worker so much. This morning, I'm also pleased to announce that Visa is creating a brand new platform which will allow credit card holders to deposit their cashback rewards directly into Trump accounts. That's a big deal. Visa, thank you. Where's Visa? The head of Visa. Thank you very much, Visa. These initiatives could not come at a better moment because there's never been a better time to invest in the United States of America than right now. Who knew it would have happened this fast? I inherited a mess. We were a country that was laughed at a year and a half ago. We were laughed at. Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world, nobody even close. So, who knew this was going to take place this quickly? Right, Michael? I didn't think it was going to go that fast. I knew we were going to do it, but I thought it would take a couple of years at least. We just a couple of days longer than the first year, so it's really amazing. And just this morning, as I'm running out, I see the S&P 500 hit 7,000 for the first time ever. So I say America is back. America is back. Since the election, the stock market has set 52 all-time record highs, adding $9 trillion in value. And $18 trillion of investment is pouring into the country. It's going to be higher than that. Just over 1 year ago, we were a country that lost its way. We were mocked and scorned, and every American child will now be and have access to something that is really incredible, and they can watch directly the economic boom that's taking place. This is a boom that's taking place, the likes of which we've really never seen. I don't think people, get it yet. Not a lot of people, they don't get it. They don't see the thousands of businesses being built, the hundreds and hundreds of massive factories that are going up all over. But they're going to start to see it. They're starting to see it. I mean, if they're modestly intelligent, if they're very intelligent, they saw it about a year ago. With us today is Craig Smith, a fourth-generation family farmer and volunteer firefighter from Culpeper, Virginia, along with his wonderful wife, Heather. Craig and Heather have an 18-month-old son and a 1-month-old that they also welcomed just recently, twin boys. And they can't wait to activate Trump accounts for all 3 of their children this July 4th. Craig and Heather, do you want to come up here, Craig and Heather? Where are you, Craig and Heather? Come on up, Craig and Heather, come on up. Come on up. It meant so much to them. People write letters. Every once in a while you get a letter, it just hits you. Craig and Heather, come on up. Thank you. That's great. Wow, look at this family, huh? They're a rich family now. The kids are richer than the parents. That's the way we want it. I thank you very much. Wow.
We just want to thank President Trump for all of his hard work and dedication to American families and farm families like ours. Farming is not always easy, and sometimes margins are tight, so investments like this into our children really help us to buy diapers and formula and not have to worry about making financial decisions for them this early on. So thank you very much, President Trump.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. So nice. Also joining us today is the Goins family from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Charlie works in manufacturing, and he's here with his wife, Savannah, his high school sweetheart. In 2022, Charlie and Savannah opened their home to foster care, really expecting to take in 1 child, but soon they were taking in a family of 3 siblings and formally adopting them. A short time later, Charlie and Savannah also welcomed a biological daughter. Trump accounts will give each of these children a much better start in life. And Charlie and Savannah, where are you? Are you down there? Do you want to come up? Come on up here, Charlie, real fast. We're holding up a lot of big business people. We can't hold them up. Michael will take back his donation. Say what? I want my money back. Come on up here. These are great families, but there's millions and millions of families that are going to be so amazed and so happy at what's taken place. Sort of a miracle, I think. Nice to see you. How are you? How are you? Oh, look at that. So nice. Hi. How are you? You want to say something?
I'd love to, yeah. Thank you, President Trump, for having my family and me here today. My wife and I have spent the better part of our adult lives working to advance children in our community, and it was our faith that first led us to open our home to foster care, and it was God's plan that allowed us, absolutely. And it was God's plan that allowed us to adopt 3 amazing children out of foster care, to welcome so many more, and of course, this past year, welcome our youngest daughter, Florence, into the world. It's through our experience that we've seen how opportunity, or the lack thereof, can really impact a child at the very beginning stages of their life before they even get a chance themselves. And that's why, my wife and I, along with some of the work that the First Lady is doing, we are working to help foster families, and foster and adoptive families, and personally in our state with protections and support in our home state of Arkansas. Every child deserves hope, stability, and a strong chance at a future, a strong future. And for young families, especially like ours, that your first priorities are, of course, your diapers and your wipes and your car seats and all that stuff. And so starting and investing into a investment account is not necessarily on the top of the priority list. And we're so thankful to have this. And I think this sends a powerful message that this administration believes that financial opportunity can start early, that it is intentional, and that it can impact every single family. And my wife and I are so excited that this administration has placed families and children like ours at the forefront of economic policy. And we're so excited for the future of the children and for this country. Thank you.
That's a great job. I was wondering how much longer he could hold. Did you notice it? It's getting heavy. It's still 50 pounds or something. Right? I said, how much longer is that? And finally, it broke loose. But you could see a loving father there, couldn't you? Huh? The way he did that, right? Wasn't that a loving father? I watched that. He was grabbing. That's a great family. Thank you very much, both.
Very
Beautiful.
good. Everybody, we have arrived to the 10 minutes for decision, which is going to come soon right now. So we watched Rubio, we watched Trump, very nice. Now we're going to be pointing our eyes to the Fed. That was pretty cool. I mean, I'm telling you, there's obviously a lot going on. The prices, gold is breaking highs. The market is doing really well. Everybody's watching, and I mean, I'm just bullish, man. This is exactly what I was expecting to see. But let's move to the Fed. Federal Reserve should be already live. It is indeed. Right here, it is indeed.
Banks located.
Perfect. We got the live there, so it's going to come in pretty soon. So it just started streaming 20 minutes ago. So very good. This is exactly what I like to see. There you go. So it's coming in soon now, and we're going to go, and I was going to show you something that I just liked right now, more news and updates, because, FOMC and chair, they're always there, Powell, what everybody's talking about. Here, this is what we know he said a couple of weeks ago. And, well, people are reacting now, and we want to see something coming in, something juicy. We all want to see that for sure. Take a look. I think, yeah, I left it here.
As possible. Despite that, we've driven rates down. When you're really good, you can get them down despite everything, because ultimately it just sort of follows nature. Mortgage interest rates are now at the lowest level in 3 years, and new mortgage applications are up 30%. By the way, well, we have a great Fed chairman. I think we're going to have one. I'll announce it pretty soon. You'll see rates come down a lot. And refinancings are up 100% compared to the end of the Biden term. Up 100%. As possible.
He wants to see someone who's going to cut. Hashtag FOMC coming in. Here it is. 97% of no hike. Yep. That's what we're going to see basically soon. That's me. In 2023. Can you believe it, guys? We've been doing this thing for so long. Don't you love it? Welcome to everybody here. I'm going to go and come right here, take a look at the comments right now. It's been a while. Shout out to JB, who's here with us. Really nice. What's up, Christopher? I see you there. Welcome. We have over 2,000 votes right now, and FOMC Powell will, with 43%. You guys want to see a pause. Just leave Powell with 17%. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Eduardo, you want to see some blood on the streets? I get it, buddy. It is what it is. What happened? Well, soon. We've been live for a while now, over an hour, because we wanted to give you some insights and info, and we did. Well, now it's time for Jerome Powell to come and tell us how is it going to be. Is it actually going to be a major dump, or he has something for us? Look, Ripple just posted. Let's see what it is. Xrp Community Day 2026 is incoming right here, February the 11th and 12th. Xrp holders, builders, institutions, and Ripple leaders will come together. Guys, we will be ready for Xrp Day. That's what I told you in my earlier video today. So Xrp Day, Community Day coming in right now. Just posted 1 minute ago. So we know the speakers, Brad Garlinghouse. We're going to have Monica Long. We're going to have a lot more people. They want to talk XRP, Ripple, and more. Just don't miss it. Just don't miss it. I'm excited. Nicki Minaj. Trump accounts. Jumpstart the American dream. That's a nice picture, actually. That is a nice picture.
We are waiting the first interest rate decision of the year from the Fed. What can we expect, and what does this potentially mean for borrowers?
Yeah, so right now the markets are predicting with about a 97% rate that the Fed is going to hold rates steady in its decision tomorrow afternoon. So what that means essentially for borrowers is, I'm so sorry, but unfortunately we are not going to see borrowing costs get any cheaper right now. Credit card rates are still going to remain elevated, and other borrowing costs are going to remain elevated. So if you are carrying a balance, it's going to be a little bit harder to pay it off for the time being.
So we are waiting.
No more cuts. Yeah. Just to put it simply, in the surreal scenario that we get a cut, although it's not going to happen, easily $2 XRP, or even all the way to 210 to 20 XRP in just a few minutes. Yeah, easy. BTC will pass 90,000 to 92, 93,000. Gold could go much higher than that if it happens. The market already priced in that that there will be a pause. That's why it's still chill and steady. What we need is cuts and also Clarity Act coming in.
Are 72 hours to decide this rally as mega cap earnings, the Fed decision, and potential government shutdown hang over this market. We'll discuss and debate with the investment committee, and joining me for the hour. Reversing, silver was down 5% earlier. We should note that every day because the moves there have been just astounding.
Materials making new 50, and the spending is never really for Amazon. It's really the question.
By the way, I saw that there's a bunch of layoffs. You guys see that? UPS, Amazon. They are firing people left and right, bro. Amazon cutting 16,000 corporate jobs in latest restructuring. Wow. That's a lot of jobs, everybody. I saw it earlier today. There it is. Amazon did it again. 16,000 layoffs. This is one of many companies right now. Layoffs, layoffs, layoffs. Crazy. 3 minutes, everybody. 3 minutes. UPS plans to cut 30,000 jobs.
UPS announced it's slashing an additional 30,000 jobs on top of the 48,000 jobs it cut last year. The new cuts are all operational positions, including drivers, according to the company, part of a massive restructuring, winding down a partnership with Amazon and turning toward automation. You hear that word. In the same announcement about the job losses, the company reported that fourth quarter profits had jumped to nearly $1.8 billion, beating Wall Street expectations. UPS.
Okay. You're beating market expectations and you're still firing people. Got it. I see how it is. Okay, everybody. Latest. Here it comes. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Drop a like, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Welcome to another FOMC day. It's always really exciting to welcome a lot of people here and, relax and enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. Thank you, TJ and Ghost. Pause. It's going to be a pause. Has to be a pause. That's why we're watching it live right now in the 15 minutes. Anything different than a pause, and you're going to see something move extremely fast. Extremely fast. Everyone, there's agents that are ready to trade right now. They're ready to trade. They're like, oh man, let's go ahead and trade with the decision that we're about to witness. Give me the pause. Give me the pause with 97% chance. Give me the pause. Cyber in the house. Welcome, brother. We got TJ. We got Ghost. We got I Am Strude. We got everybody here. What's up, fam? I mean, of course I want to cut. Of course I want to cut, but okay, 1 p.m., everybody. The answer is unchanged. Pause. 3.75%. Unchanged. Paused. Unchanged. Call rates. Not cuts. Not cuts. Not cuts. Pause. Watch Guru coming in. Everybody coming in. Breaking news. Federal Reserve leaves rates unchanged. No cuts. No cuts. As expected. As expected. So the poll, FOMC Powell will pause. 43% of the people were right. Well done. New poll coming in right now. What will crypto do after the after the press briefing, right? XRP price will go after Powell speaks. What do you think? There you go. Another pause with Powell. Man, they don't like Powell, that I can tell you. They don't like Powell, that I can tell you. We got 3 answers, everybody. Lower, higher, or same nothing burger. That's for all the people that really like burgers, you know. Federal Reserve opts to keep interest rates the same. We're here watching on Fox News. Everybody's, assuming all this new information, which we knew. We knew. Remarks, there it is. China warns the U.S. against military intervention in Iran. No bueno. Fed keeps rates at 3.75%. Very good. Very good. That is what we're seeing right now, the Fed. Powell, Papa Powell, come on, baby. Give us something juicy. Give us something juicy. No cut from Powell. No cut. That's the latest, and that's what he's doing.
So I don't think that a rate hike is anybody's base case at this point, and I'm not hearing that. What you see is some people feel we should stop here and that we're at the right place and just wait. Some people feel like we should cut once or more this year and next year. But when people are writing down their estimates of policy of where it should go, it is either holding here or cutting a little or cutting more than a little. So I don't see the base case as involving that. So I don't.
Yeah, I mean, he told us last one in late 2025 that he wasn't going to cut. So that's what they did. No cuts. Once again, this is what he said in his speech.
Good evening. Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned in part a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings. I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike. In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with integrity and a commitment to serving the American people. Thank you.
Papa Powell, come on, baby, help us out here. He's not gonna say anything. He's not gonna say anything as far as the investigation. He cannot say anything, right? But I hope there's a statement. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. I hope somebody's gonna ask, right? Because they already know, sadly, not to ask much about it. Plus, the people asking questions are not really so politically driven. They're not like the ones who are always at the Oval Office. That's the reality. Federal Reserve issues FOMC statement. So it says the committee seeks to achieve maximum employment and inflation at the rate of 2% over the longer run. Uncertainty about the economic outlook remains elevated. So that's why, in support of its goals, the committee decided to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate, considering the extent and timing of additional adjustments to the target range. So in assessing the appropriate stance of the monetary policy, the committee will continue to monitor implications of incoming information for the economic outlook. Yeah, just kind of like the same jargon that we've been hearing for the last couple of things. Job gains have remained low and unemployment rate has shown some signs of stabilization. Inflation remains somewhat elevated. Oh, Powell, gotta tell you, a lot of people do want you to do something kind of quickly. Today's macro events, we got that one done. So we're just waiting on Powell. What is this? Right, Dal, you said that when the value of money depreciates, it makes everything else look like it's going up. Very Very nice, very nice. Awesome, guys. Perfect. So everything's running perfectly right now. What we're going to be doing, everybody, is waiting less than about 20 minutes to go for the FOMC to start. I'm so excited for that, honestly. See what they said, man. Just those times when you know that it's time to send it to the moon. See what Powell is the one, because obviously Powell wants more attention before he leaves. That's the way it is. It always works like that, everybody. So basically, Jerome Powell is letting me to buy more XRP by an algorithm before it's too late, right? It's true. Lowest trading volume since the last 3 weeks. 3 FOMC meets something is not right. What's up, the shy one? Welcome. Watch your guru. We got another one. I'm telling you, bro, there's so much going on right now. Oof, what is this? White House to discuss cryptocurrency market structure legislation with top crypto and banking executives next week. Well, tomorrow we have the hearing, and next week, there you have it. Even more conversations. And there it is, Eleanor Tourette. There's the one I was telling you just a couple hours ago. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., the event will be live streamed on the SEC and the CFTC's website. Crypto in America, and he's going to discuss everything as far as the regulatory framework for the crypto capital of the world. Guys, our time is now. Our time is now. That I can tell you. Drop a like, everybody, and consider subscribing right now so you never miss updates. And we're ready to go for Jerome Powell. You know, the one and only. The one who knows how to do things. I like this one. As you can tell, the price hasn't changed at all. It's the same price, the same everything right now. There's honestly nothing when it comes to the price right now. Everything is the same. If I check gold, let's take a look. Yep, the same. Nothing really changed. Everybody was expecting a pause. 97% change. So what's going to be very interesting is once the new chair comes in, as soon as he's nominated, the market is going to price in what he's going to do, all the cuts. That's what's going to happen. As soon as he's already mentioned by Trump, we're going to be watching that live eventually. BTC at 89,000. Look at this, 90,000 earlier today and now selling off a little bit. Sell off, sell off, sell offs. Very good. So we're going to go ahead and unpin this one. Let's change with this. There you go. You can join us, everybody, with the link right there at the top. 2,000 XRP giveaway, and well, more for you, because we want to try to get as much as we can before it's time for us to rally. We're going to rally in due time, and it's not going to be difficult to have a lot of people here following us, because retail is going to start watching and waking up. Yep, that's the way it's going to play out. Perfect. Soon. I love, CT, how it goes so crazy for, well, what's ahead? Oh, what is that? You got a little dance right there? Yeah, you know that he was going to dance a little bit, as he is leaving. Question by Lark Davis. Be honest. Are you selling your Bitcoin to buy gold or silver? You can just replace Bitcoin with XRP. Are you selling your XRP for gold or silver? Well, that's up to you, right? If you want to do it, go ahead, but I'm not. Crypto gains more Wall Street adoption as 6 trillion Fidelity launches its own stablecoin on Ethereum. Slow and steady, then all at once, everybody. Slow and steady, then all at once. That's just the way it is. Slow and steady, then all at once. Dora Mandani says New York is facing a $10 billion budget deficit, plans to increase taxes on high-income New Yorkers and corporations. Oh boy. New York, everybody. Boom. I like that picture. I really like that picture. It's so good. Bitcoin maxes are livid. What's up, Cyber? You should have gold and silver and XRP. Yeah, have everything that you want, you know. If you want some gold and silver, why not? Take some to you. Oscar, Bitcoin to 70,000 and XRP to $1. And after that, it will go all-time high. Noted. Poncho, you know a lot then. No, I mean, as soon as we have clarity, I mean, things are going to start ramping up much quickly. Powell mugshot. I know, right? Are you going to go ahead and do another video with Crypto Report and Coin Baron? I do want to, yes. I do want to. Just times just, you know, haven't worked out, but we have to for sure. Clarity Act tomorrow. Clarity Act markup. Not that they're going to sign it, but tomorrow is going to be a markup. Yeah. Here in a conversation. It's so fun, you know, with all the things slow and steady start coming in. Oh, yes. I love this video, man. It's just crypto, bro. Crypto at its finest. Jerome Powell is getting pumped and ready to go. Man, I love AI. Sadly, yeah, that picture. That's the picture I got. I mean, from this video, I got it. I mean, just tell me if you don't like that one. I mean, come on, man. I just love AI so much. Gold is making history today. We're witnessing a historic moment for gold, hitting 5,300. This last couple of days just ripping again and again and again. Just stand 15% chance of 0 rate cuts in 2026 under Jerome Powell. But once we go into a new chair, things are going to change. No cut, shutdown, and clarity chaos coming next. Nothing will change for XRP. Price will go down. Awesome. RAM costs 1,000 now for making videos like that. Yeah, it uses a lot of water and power, right? Not as easy. Good. All right. About 10 minutes to go. Love that. Melania. That should be my my alarm for the mornings. That's gonna get me up, get me all up and pumped for sure. That Melania coin, bro. I'm never gonna get over it. I'm never gonna get over it. I mean, hit us so hard. Look at that I was gonna say XRP. Look at that S&P 7,000, bro. That looks so pretty. That looks so pretty. Oof. The U.S. economy is thriving right now a lot. Everybody's pretty happy to see, your 401ks and your Roth IRAs and all of those investments. No, I didn't lose anything in Melania coin because I didn't buy it. What I lost was in Trump a little bit because I didn't lose. I just reduced my profits. We were doing a killing on Trump, but Melania came and it just destroyed everything. Yeah, that was last year. It was very painful to watch. You're down 2K on Trump coin. Oh, you're still holding it. Wow. You're still holding that one.
Nikki makes a lot of cash. Not as much as Michael Dell. Not quite. Not as much. But that's...
There's Kevin Hassett. He's not gonna be the next chair. I think. I don't think so.
Okay.
Fed says Governor Waller Moran dissent in favor of 25 basis cut. Like most of the committee just didn't want to cut. That's why it's a pause. The way it is. Metals all-time high, S&P all-time high. Cryptos cannot rally, bro. All assets don't rally at the same time. Come back in 2029 for cryptos. Crazy how at the very beginning of the decade we had an altcoin crypto rally, and it's been 5 years since then, and now we're seeing a metals stock rally, like a big one, right? Where people are killing it with traditional assets. And us, in the last 5 years, we just had regulations, bankruptcies, theft, fraud, scams, but also a lot of progress in our industry, meaning that the next wave for the next bull market super cycle is going to be historic. That's what we want. That's what we're waiting for. That's the one that's going to retire many people watching today. Next wave is going to be historic. I went on a backhit thanks to Trump coin and out. Let's go. Kudos to you. That's not. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people make good money with Trump coin. Of course they did. Of course they did. Perfect. All right. What do we have here? Another news, guys. Telling you. I always like to do this early in the morning and sometime in the afternoon, because then it's so much information that I just want to eat and relax after, my day. Eleanor Tourette says the following: new pro-crypto super PAC First Shake says it now has a war chest of more than $193 million cash on hand heading into the 2026 midterms. So anybody who is for crypto and crypto legislation and the Clarity Act and everything for crypto, they can get a lot of money. Most of the money comes from Coinbase with $25 million. Ripple, there you go. Ripple is there with $25 million, and A16Z with $24 million. With the midterms approaching, we are united behind our mission with First Shake, continuing to oppose any anti-crypto politicians and support pro-crypto leaders, said this person who is public affairs, of that, a spokesperson for First Shake. I like that. This is important, everybody. Most of the money comes from, including Ripple. So Brad Garlinghouse is for sure very, attentive to what our industry needs. Oh my goodness. Top performers: Inverse Kramer and Pelosi Tracker. Oh, bro. Strategy has purchased 40,000 BTC in January alone, but price is still under 90,000. Gold is melting faces. Silver is going parabolic. Oh, there you go. Having a conversation there. I don't think I'm going to watch that live. There are place, Fox. Fox. You have Fox? No. No, I'm going to have to open up my TV there for that. We're talking on the DHS funding bill for the... they have to pass it. They have to vote on it. I'm watching Fox right now, and they're talking on... There you go. Talking on the DHS funding bill. So I'm keeping an eye on that. Why not? I'm keeping an eye on that. As you know, we need to go ahead and pass the funding bill, Senate. If not, we're going to go into a shutdown. If we get into a shutdown, that's not good. Not good at all. Perfect. We're just about 4 minutes to go. Awesome. And then we'll shut up and listen to Papa Powell and, go through everything, because, that's what you're here for. I'm excited. Although it's a pause, I'm already assuming that the people there are not going to be too noisy, with the criminal investigation, although there should be a comment about that. We want to listen. What is this? Me walking back into my 9-to-5 job after losing everything in crypto. Nice. Nice. I did not turn my back on the altcoin market. This is classic Benjamin Cohen. We already know that you're not into the altcoin market, whatever it is. Everybody just starts judging crypto so hard. We don't even have what we need to really do what we're supposed to. Plus, there's a lot of macro environment that are affecting us. And why is the stocks and why is metals doing really well? Because it makes sense. You already have everything to regulate. Everybody knows that. The market, is affecting stocks. But risk on assets, with right now, Washington, D.C., the government, and more institutions wrapping all, having all their hands on it. Manipulation is huge for sure, but They're not going to lose any money. They want to make a lot more money, and we know that's eventually coming in. That's eventually coming in. It's good. What's up, Chris? Brandon in the house. Welcome, welcome. There's no trust, man. Nobody cares. Du-Tang, what's up, buddy? Welcome. Happy to see you here. Happy to see you here. Sick of waiting for a crash. That's why timing the market, it's not as effective. Time in the market is what a lot of millionaires and wealthy people will tell you. Time in the market beats timing the market. It's the way it is. Oscar, the Ripple case in the court that came out today, we saw it a couple hours ago, right? That it was officially closed, like, you know, the latest paper said it. So it's really nice. Love that. Okay. Stretching. Let's go ahead and refresh this. Close this. Perfect. Well, everybody, welcome to the last section of our live stream. You are right on time. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel, of course, so you never miss an update. All of my admins are here. We're really excited to have you. Oscar Ramos to tell you the latest stories. Soon, we're going to have a signal, and you're going to be listening from Jerome Powell, the chair of the Fed, and, well, the daddy of many people. And we are live. And he is coming in anytime now. So, welcome, fam. Links down below. Join us on Discord, Patreon, the website, Telegram, everything BTCC. And I hope you are ready for this. Let's dump it.
Good afternoon. My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. The U.S. economy expanded at a solid pace last year and is coming into 2026 on a firm footing. While job gains have remained low, the unemployment rate has shown some signs of stabilization, and inflation remains somewhat elevated. In support of our goals, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to leave our policy rate unchanged. Having lowered our policy rate by 75 basis points over the course of our previous 3 meetings, we see the current stance of monetary policy as appropriate to promote progress toward both our maximum employment and 2% inflation goals. I will have more to say about monetary policy after briefly reviewing economic developments. Available indicators suggest that economic activity has been expanding at a solid pace. Consumer spending has been resilient, and business fixed investment has continued to expand. In contrast, activity in the housing sector has remained weak. The temporary shutdown of the federal government likely weighed on economic activity last quarter, but these effects should be reversed as the reopening boosts growth this quarter. In the labor market, indicators suggest that conditions may be stabilizing after a period of gradual softening. The unemployment rate was 4.4% in December and has changed little in recent months. Job gains have remained low. Total non-farm payrolls declined at an average pace of 22,000 per month over the last 3 months. Excluding government employment, private payrolls rose at an average pace of 29,000 per month. A good part of the slowing in the pace of job growth over the past year reflects a decline in the growth of the labor force due to lower immigration and labor force participation, though labor demand has clearly softened as well. Other indicators, including openings, layoffs, hiring, and nominal wage growth, show little change in recent months. Inflation has eased significantly from its highs in mid-2022, but remains somewhat elevated relative to our 2% longer-run goal. Estimates based on the Consumer Price Index indicate that total PCE prices rose 2.9% over the 12 months ending in December and that excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 3.0%. These elevated readings largely reflect inflation in the goods sector, which has been boosted by the effects of tariffs. In contrast, disinflation appears to be continuing in the services sector. Near-term measures of inflation expectations have declined from last year's peaks, as reflected in both market and survey-based measures. Most measures of longer-term expectations remain consistent with our 2% inflation goal. Our monetary policy actions are guided by our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. At today's meeting, the committee decided to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 3.5 to 3.75%. Since last September, we have lowered our policy rate 75 basis points, or 3/4 of a percentage point, bringing it within a range of plausible estimates of neutral. This normalization of our policy stance should help stabilize the labor market while allowing inflation to resume its downward trend toward 2%, once the effects of tariff increases have passed through. We are well positioned to determine the extent and timing of additional adjustments to our policy rate based on the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. Monetary policy is not on a preset course, and we will make our decisions on a meeting-by-meeting basis. To conclude, the Fed has been assigned two goals for monetary policy: maximum employment and stable prices. We remain committed to supporting maximum employment, bringing inflation sustainably to our 2% goal, and keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Our success in delivering on these goals matters to all Americans. We at the Fed will continue to do our jobs with objectivity, integrity, and a deep commitment to serve the American people. Bringing inflation sustainably to our 2% goal and keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Our success in delivering on these goals matters to all Americans. We at the Fed will continue to do our jobs with objectivity, integrity, and a deep commitment to serve the American people. Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
Hi, Chris Rugaber at Associated Press. Thank you. I wanted to ask that, you attended the Supreme Court hearing last week on the Lisa Cook case, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent criticized that as political. Can you say why you attended and what you would say in response to the Secretary's criticism?
So let me start with, I don't respond to comments by other officials, whoever they may be. It's just not appropriate to do that. I will tell you why I attended. I would say that that case is perhaps the most important legal case in the Fed's 113-year history. And as I thought about it, I thought it might be hard to explain why I didn't attend. In addition, Paul Volcker went to a Supreme Court case famously in, I guess, 1985 or so. So it's precedented, and I thought it was an appropriate thing, and I did it.
Great. And then just quickly follow on the job market. You mentioned last month that the household survey might be distorted, and you also mentioned the potential for overcounting jobs, which would suggest that we're still in a negative hiring pace. So do you see the drop in the unemployment rate as solid? And what's the basis for saying that things have stabilized? Thank you.
So, yeah, really two questions. One is, so we're getting through the distortions in the data from the shutdown. However big they were in November, they're smaller in December. So we're getting to a place where they're no longer material. They're still there, but it's a tweak here and there. The reason why we changed the statement, let me pull it out, was simply, it used to say that judges that downside risks to employment rose in recent months. So we saw, data coming in which suggests some signs of stabilization. I wouldn't go too far with that, but some signs of stabilization. There are also some signs of continued cooling. And so we thought that was no longer an accurate description of the data. In addition, the outlook for economic activity has clearly improved since the last meeting, and that should matter for labor demand and for employment over time. So for those two reasons, we thought we would take that language out of the statement.
Nick.
Nick Timros, The Wall Street Journal. Chair Powell, you've generally avoided engaging with political controversies directly, and the video statement on January 11th was a departure. What made this different, and are you concerned it could draw the institution further into political debates?
So today on, I'm simply going to refer you to the statement that I made on January 11. I'm not going to expand on it or repeat it. So I'm just not going to, this is really about the press conference and the economy and what we did today, and some ancillary areas, but I'm not going to be getting into that.
Can you say whether the Fed has responded to the subpoenas?
I have nothing for you on that today.
Of course. Nothing juicy.
Michael McKee from Bloomberg Radio TV. Have you made a decision on whether you would remain as a governor of the Federal Reserve? And if so, would you tell us what it is? And if not, when might we anticipate a decision?
No, and I really, once again, have nothing for you on that today. That either.
Man, this something,
why would
bro.
you want to leave it all under the circumstances?
Again, I don't want to get into this. Not something I'm. There's a time and place for these questions, but not something I'm going to be getting into today. Thank you.
Thank you. Claire Jones, Financial Times. Thanks a lot for taking my questions. In another one that might, lead to a similar answer. We've seen quite big movements in the dollar over recent days. What do you think is driving the U.S. currency lower? And have you been at all concerned just by the extent of the volatility we've seen this week? Thank you.
So, Claire, as you probably know, we don't comment on the dollar. Really, the administration, especially the Treasury Department, has the job of oversight over the currency and exchange rates and all that. We don't comment on that. It's not our role. So I have nothing for you.
But, what's your view on the market movements? What do you think behind them? Is it asset managers diversifying? Is it?
Yeah, I just don't. We don't talk about the dollar. We don't talk about what moves it around. It's just not appropriate for us to do so. Really, the Treasury Department has that. It's their role, their bailiwick, and we stay off it. We do monetary policy and some other things, but we don't comment on the dollar. Sorry.
Neil.
Hi, Chair Powell. Neil Irwin with Axios. Obviously, no SEP in this meeting, but in light of the slight firming up of the language around growth in the labor market in the statement, should we assume that the timeline for any further rate cuts is pushed back compared to what people might have thought in December?
Well, first of all, if you look at the incoming data since the last meeting, clear improvement in the outlook for growth. The data have come in, and sentiment, the Beige Book, everything comes in suggesting that this year starts off on a solid footing for growth. Inflation performed about as expected, and as I mentioned, some of the labor market data came in suggesting we're evidence of stabilization. So it's overall a stronger forecast, really, if that's your question. I'm not sure I answered your question.
But in terms of timing or pacing of any additional easing?
So we haven't made, what we'd say about this was that after this meeting, after the 3 recent rate cuts, we're well positioned to address the risks that we face on both sides of our dual mandate, and we'll continue to make our decisions meeting by meeting based on the incoming data, the implications for and the outlook and the balance of risks. Haven't made any decisions about future meetings, but the economy is growing at a solid pace. The unemployment rate has been broadly stable, and inflation remains somewhat elevated. So we'll be looking to our goal variables and letting the data light the way for us.
Steve.
Steve Leisman, CNBC, and sticking with questions you might answer. Thank you. You had previously, I believe, described the current policy rate being at the higher end of neutral. And if you look at the longer run, the SEP and the longer run rate, 16 of 19 officials are actually below there on their long run. Is the Fed still in a process of bringing it down towards a middle range of neutral? And what would it take to get there?
So the count I did was that 4 of the 19 were at or above that. Maybe I missed by 1, but I thought it was 4. And if you look at the the dealer survey, it was 10 out of 58 where we're at or above. So you're right. It's the higher end of the range. What we say is it's within the range of plausible estimates. This is the higher end of that range, but so for some people they think it's neutral. I think, and many of my colleagues think, it's hard to look at the incoming data and say that policy is significantly restrictive at this time. It may be sort of loosely neutral, or it may be somewhat restrictive. You know, it's in the eye of the beholder, and of course, no one knows with any precision. Is that, you had a follow-up?
I get what you're saying, but some officials have described the Fed being in a mode of bringing it down eventually over time. Are you still in that mode, or is this a place to hang out?
Yeah, no, I would say if you look at the SEP from December, most people had additional normalization. But at the same time, we've done a lot of the process of normalizing. A good piece of it is done with 75 basis points, and before that, 100. It's 175 basis points we've cut since we began cutting in September of 2024. So you've moved now to, Fed funds is running just a little below 3.65%. So you've moved a good way, and we think we're well positioned here to watch how the economy performs, look at the data. We're not making decisions about future meetings, but we do think we're well positioned after those 3 cuts to let the data speak to us.
Amira. Thank you, Chair Powell. Mara Mokway from Bloomberg News. To what extent did the committee discuss the possibility of cutting at this meeting or in March? And how are you all thinking about the conditions that would merit another rate cut? Is there broad agreement on the committee about what it would take?
So there was broad support on the committee for holding today. Broad, I would say, including among non-voters. So that's where that was. Of course, some people did want to cut and dissented, but committee pretty broadly for holding today. We're not trying to articulate a test for when to next cut or whether to cut at the next meeting. What we're saying is we're well positioned as we make decisions meeting by meeting, looking at the incoming data, evolving outlook, and all that. And we're in a position where we still have some tension between employment and inflation, but it's less than it was. I think that the upside risks to inflation and the downside risks to inflation have probably both diminished a bit. So, we'll be looking at that. It's about how you weigh the risks to the 2 goals and how big those, and quantify them. And so there are different views on the committee, and, we'll find our way forward as the data evolve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Edward Lawrence from Fox Business. Has the effects of tariffs already moved through the economy on prices?
A lot of it has. So basically, there are many different estimates, and they're all highly uncertain. But most of the overrun in goods prices is from tariffs. And that's actually good news, because if it weren't from tariffs, it might mean it's from demand, and that's a harder problem to solve. We do think tariffs are likely to move through and be a one-time price increase. So most of the overshoot, if you were to take that out, inflation, core PCE inflation is running just a bit above 2%, ex the effects of tariffs on goods. And the other good news is, if you look away from goods and look at services, you do see ongoing disinflation in all the categories of services. So that's a healthy development. So that's what's going on. The expectation is that we will see the effects of tariffs flowing through goods prices, peaking, and then starting to come down, assuming there are no new major tariff increases that are begun. And that's what we expect to see over the course of this year. If we see that, if we see that, that would be something that tells us that we can loosen policy. Also, if we see something that suggests that the labor market is not stabilizing, that in fact the downside risks reemerge, or the data just get worse, we'd have to look at both of those. We have a two-sided mandate.
If I could, if President Trump does pick a new Fed chairman before May, what does that look like? How would you work with that person, and what does that transition period look like?
I don't have anything for you on that. That will depend on Congress's actions and things I can't speculate on.
Howard.
Howard Schneider with Reuters. Thank you for taking our questions. Given the changes in the statement and all you've said so far, is it fair to describe risks to both sides of the Band-Aid as roughly balanced right now? And is the next move necessarily down?
I'd say that the upside risks to inflation and the downside risks to employment have diminished, but they still exist. So there's still some tension between the mandates. Are they fully in balance? Hard to say. And we think our policy's in a good place. I've just discussed reasons why we might change our policy, and we'll just have to see how the data lead us.
I'm wondering, you a minute ago you said you felt expectations were consistent with your mandate, that the 2 and the 10-year break-evens have moved quite notably in the last couple of weeks, I believe. Is there any concern on that front?
I mean, I recently looked at all of the both survey and market-based short-term inflation expectations have come way down. They were in a good place at the beginning of last year. They spiked around Liberation Day, and now they've fully retraced in the last few months. So that's very comforting. And the longer-term inflation expectations have remained in places that are very consistent with 2% inflation over time. So expectations have been solid, and they reflect confidence in the return to 2% inflation.
Andrew. Apologies if this is a little bit repetitive, but in the past you've said that the reason you cut rates was that the risk to the labor market was greater than the risk to the inflation side. Is that still true?
We haven't made. You're right. We saw the labor market weakening, and we acted, and I think that was the appropriate thing to do. We will always act to address what we see as the economy moving away from our goals. Risks to both of the variables are a little less. I think the upside risk to inflation, again, a little bit less, and the downside risk to employment, a little less. I just would say that I'm not making a judgment about how, one of them is more at risk than the other, just that the risks to both of them have diminished.
Okay, thanks. BIS wrote a paper last summer which concluded that global investors were hedging their dollar exposures in ways that previously they hadn't because of policy uncertainty. Do you agree with BIS?
We really don't see much at all about that whole story. There's just not a lot of data that suggests that there's much to that.
Thanks.
Anna Swanson with the New York Times. Can you talk more about what you would need to see in the labor market to conclude it's time to resume easing? Do you need to see further deterioration in the labor market, or would it be enough for inflation to soften?
So we'll always be looking at both things. And so there could be combinations, infinite numbers of combinations that would cause us to want to move. Certainly, a weakening labor market would be an argument for loosening. But what's happening with inflation? If inflation were at the same time getting worse, you just have a very difficult situation there. So we'll be looking at both. Clearly, a weakening labor market calls for cutting. A stronger labor market says that the rates are in a good place. We'll have to be making similar judgments, too, on inflation, though.
And if inflation does pick back up and the labor market doesn't show further signs of deterioration, is there a chance that you could raise rates rather than simply remaining on hold? What would you need to see to consider hiking?
We don't take things off the table, but it isn't anybody's base case right now, anybody's base case, that the next move will be a rate hike. But, ultimately we'll do what we think is the right thing. But that's not where people's expectations are right now.
Victoria.
Hi, Victoria Guida with Politico. I wanted to ask, you've talked in the past about concerns about the U.S. fiscal trajectory, and we've seen in the Japanese bond market a lot of turmoil recently, in part due to concerns over their fiscal and long-term economic outlook. So do you worry that the U.S. could at some point find itself in a similar situation to Japan, whether for fiscal or demographic reasons?
Over time, you've seen that U.S. rates have remained they haven't moved a lot really for a while, but they haven't moved a lot because of what's been happening in Japan. So it's more of an over time thing. The U.S. federal budget deficit is uncontroversially on an unsustainable path. The level of debt is not unsustainable. It's very much sustainable, but the path is unsustainable. And the sooner we work on it, the better. But right now we're running a very large deficit at essentially full employment, and so the fiscal picture needs to be addressed, and it's not really being addressed. So that's important. I'm not in any way connecting it to some sort of near-term market event, but ultimately it's something we'll have to deal with, and that in the end game, that's where you wind up, is in some kind of a difficult thing. But that's not where we are. It's not where Japan is either. But it's certainly not where we are right now.
Does it reduce the effect of your rate cuts that longer-term rates have overall not really budged that much?
I wouldn't say that. The thing is, technically, higher longer-term rates means less accommodative financial conditions. But remember, many things move longer-term rates. It's not mostly what happens on the short end. There can be effects of longer-term rates from our moving our policy around, but it's much more assessments of the fiscal path and fiscal policies and risks and things like that move the 10-year around. You can look back at and find periods where we've been very actively moving the policy rate over the course of a year, and over the course of that year, the 10-year is exactly where it started. So there's not a tight link between 10-year rates and the overnight rate.
Elizabeth. Thanks so much, Elizabeth Schulze with ABC News. Republican Senator Tom Tillis, who sits on the Senate Banking Committee, said he will block any Fed nominee, including the chair, until this investigation into you is resolved. Do you support this move by the senator, and what conversations have you had with the senator?
I've got nothing for you on that.
More broadly, what would happen to American households if the Federal Reserve loses its ability to operate independent from politics?
So really, the point of independence is not to protect policymakers or anything like that. It just is that every advanced economy democracy in the world has come around to this common practice. It's just an institutional arrangement that has served the people well, and that is to have a separation between to not have direct elected official control over the setting of monetary policy. And the reason is that monetary policy can be used, through an election cycle to affect the economy in a way that will be politically worthwhile. So I'm not talking about the U.S. context. This is every advanced economy democracy of any size. So it's a good practice. It's pretty much everywhere among countries that look at all like the United States. And I think if you lose that, first of all, it would be hard to restore the credibility of the institution if people lose their faith that we're making decisions, only on the basis of our assessment of what's best for everyone, for the wide public, rather than trying to benefit one group or another. If you lose that, it's going to be hard to retain it. And we haven't lost it. I don't believe we will. I certainly hope we won't. But it's very important, and the reason it's important is that it's enabled central banks generally not to be perfect, but to serve the public well.
You're confident it can maintain that independence at this point?
Yes. I'm strongly committed to that, and so are my colleagues.
Archie.
Archie Hall from The Economist. On that sort of stabilization of the labor market question, how much do you see the weakening we saw over the past 6 months, year, as a kind of data mirage around immigration and the government shutdown and so on that's now resolved? Or how much have we seen a kind of real underlying firming up in the state of the labor market, do you think?
Well, part of it is, to your point, part of it just is that labor supply, growth in labor supply has come to essentially a halt from a fairly fast clip of growth over the last couple of years, driven by immigration, and then the halt being driven by a very sudden stop in immigration. So many outcomes were possible with that. Supply came way down. It turns out that demand for labor also came down a very similar amount, maybe just a little bit more, which is why the unemployment rate has gone up. So I don't know whether that's a coincidence or not, but that's what's happened with that part. But if you look at other things like, for example, just to pick a couple, the Conference Board's measure of job availability that came out, I don't know, was it yesterday or today? But, it shows, it's a survey showing that workers feel like job availability it's a very low reading. Just one reading, but it's an indication of softening. People, part-time for economic reasons, which is a category within the broader U6 category measure, has moved up significantly. So there are lots of, I could go on and on, there are lots of little places that suggest that the labor market has softened. But you're right, part of payroll job softening is that both the supply and demand for labor has come down. Growth in those two have come down. So that makes it a difficult time to read the labor market. So imagine they both came down a lot to the point where there is no job growth. Is that full employment? In a sense, it is. If demand and supply are in balance, that you could say that's full employment. At the same time, do we really feel like that's a maximum employment economy? It's very challenging and quite unusual situation.
Thanks. And one more on growth and the kind of strong growth outlook, your strengthening growth outlook you're now seeing. How much of that is the fiscal stimulus we're seeing from the beautiful bill, the tax cuts, and all of that?
So you're seeing it already. You don't have much of the fiscal. I think the outlook, you're right. It's financial conditions, and it's fiscal policy for 26. But you've got strong consumption that's been happening before financial conditions have been supportive, but before the fiscal effects really are shown. So essentially, the economy has once again surprised us with its strength, not for the first time. Consumer spending, although it's uneven across income categories, but consumer spending overall numbers are good, and we're benefiting from the AI build out of data centers. That's another thing we're benefiting from, but. The economy overall, the growth is on a solid footing. It looks like, and it's not just those things. It's just the consumer is filling out surveys that sound really negative, and then spending. So there's been a disconnect for some time between downbeat surveys and reasonably good spending data.
Thanks, Chair Powell. Christine Romans from NBC News. You talked about how consumer spending is uneven. The president calls inflation defeated and solved. The FOMC says it's a somewhat elevated inflation. But you talked about those customer survey or those consumer sentiment surveys and public opinion polls that show that most families say the cost of living is still issue number one. What is the conversation around the table with your colleagues about how wealthier consumers seem to be driving so much of the economy, and why so many families still feel like they just can't make ends meet after 5 years of rising prices? What is that discussion like?
So a couple things. One, there's something to it in that we know that higher income households that tend to own real estate and tend to own stocks, securities, and those assets have been going up in value, and increases in wealth do support spending over time. So, and that's clearly a part of the story. We also know that for some time now, for a year or more, we've been hearing from retailers, for example, that serve lower income customers, whether it be food or the big box stores or anything. They're saying the same thing, which is our consumers are looking to economize. They're trading down from brands, and they're buying less, and it's changing their buying habits and that kind of thing. So we're seeing that, and that is a reality of what we're seeing. They're still consuming, but they're feeling it in a different way. I would say more broadly on affordability, we have a vast network through the reserve banks and also through the Board of Governors, where we talk to small and large businesses and households, and so we do hear a lot about affordability, and we take that very seriously, and we take it to heart, because one of our jobs is price stability, and so the best thing we can do for people who are feeling that squeeze is to keep
keep inflation under control and, frankly, to finish the job of getting inflation back down to 2%.
You mentioned the AI build-out as being a positive for economic growth this year. I wonder, as you look at the weakest year last year for job creation of a non-recession year since like 2003, are you concerned about AI maybe supplanting more entry-level work and entry-level jobs, and how does that play into what you're watching about the labor market?
So everyone, of course, is watching AI and the deployment and, trying to understand exactly what's happening. And there's a wide range of possibilities. It's hard to say. And of course, anyone who uses it is amazed at what it can accomplish, right? So every technological wave will eliminate some jobs and create other jobs. And it's always been the case. If you look back, wave after wave after wave, there will be some disruption, but ultimately technology increases productivity, which is the basis for rising wages. And it may not all happen immediately, but over time, it's what enables incomes to rise over time is rising productivity. So and we always ask, well, this is going to be different. Is it going to be different? And we don't know. And we may, in any case, see in the short term jobs that are being eliminated by the capabilities of AI. We may see that. We just don't know what the overall effect is going to be. So how to think about it in macroeconomic terms, it's very hard. We can look at the aggregate data. We can analyze, for example, there is some connection, it appears, between the low hiring rate for recent college grads and AI, but it's not the main or only driver. You hear large companies, though, many of them saying that they either won't be hiring for some time, or that they're hiring less, or that they're laying people off, and they tend to refer to AI when they do that. So we're all watching and learning, and it could certainly have pretty significant effects on the economy, the workforce, and our society. We don't really have the tools to address the concerns that may arise, but we have a lot of people who focus on analyzing it and try to understand what the macroeconomic implications are, which is our job.
Beyi. Thank you, Chair Powell. Beyi from AFP News Agency. You mentioned earlier that on inflation, the broad expectation was for a one-time price increase and then for inflation to come down. And I was wondering, is your expectation still for inflation to start cooling in the second half of 2026? And if you could elaborate how far we are from target currently. Thank you.
So how far we are from target is, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, we had 3.0% core PCE inflation over the 12 months ending in December, and that's pretty much what we had the year before. So on net, no progress, but the story behind that is modestly positive in that most of the overshoot was in goods prices, which we think is related to tariffs, and ultimately we think those will not result in inflation as opposed to a one-time price increase. Okay, so that's where it is. In terms of, you asked, no one thinks they will, ex ante understand really clearly, precisely when this will happen. But there's an expectation that sometime in the middle quarters of the year, we'll see tariff inflation topping out. So what we do is when a tariff is put in place, we track the effect of those tariffs over a 6, 7, 8, 9 month period, and you can see for that tariff how long it takes to reach a place where it's affected the price level, and that's it. So we're getting better at that, and our estimate is that it'll be sometime in the middle of the year, but I wouldn't look for great precision in that. But we'll be able to see whether things are moving in that direction. I think we'll be able to see.
Richard Escobedo.
Thanks, Chair Powell. I'm Richard Escobedo with CBS News. I want to look outside the U.S. about what's happening outside our shores and how it impacts the U.S. Canada's Prime Minister said last week that there's been a rupture in the global order, and I wonder how you're thinking about geopolitical risk as it relates to the U.S. economy.
So I can't comment on that speech or statement or anything like that. Geopolitical risk for us is, a lot of it is around energy, oil. And so far we haven't, for all the turmoil, oil prices have come down, as you know, and so we don't really see much longer than that, it's trade, and the trade, the economy, our economy has pulled through pretty well, you'd have to say, given the very significant changes in trade policy. The U.S. economy has pushed right through. Partly that is that the way that what was implemented was significantly less than what was announced at the beginning. In addition, other countries didn't retaliate, and in addition, a good part of it hasn't been passed through to consumers yet. It's being taken by companies that stand between the consumer and the exporter. So that's where that is.
Jennifer. Thank you, Chair Powell. Jennifer Schonberger with Yahoo Finance. With third quarter GDP growing at 4.4% and the fourth quarter expected to have a 5 handle on it as to what the Atlanta Fed is predicting, at a time when you had a government shutdown and we thought that was going to shave off some growth, you've also got the fiscal tailwinds you've talked about, big tax refunds coming, potential tariff dividend. How could you cut rates and not spur inflation in that environment?
Well, we didn't cut rates today, but it would depend. It depends on how fast potential output is growing, right? I'm just asking in principle. I'm not, I'm not saying this is what's happening, but there's growth and there's how fast the potential is growing, and at a time of high productivity growth, potential output is rising. So it really matters whether potential output is growing as fast as actual output, and it would matter over time. The numbers you cite were for quarters, and quarterly GDP is, you need to look at 12 months because quarterly GDP can be very lumpy. GDP was negative in the first quarter last year. So the overall, over the year, the numbers were nothing like that. It was more in the mid-2s for the year.
And how do you explain the divide right now between strong economic growth and the job market? Is it productivity that's filling the gap? And is productivity being driven by AI at this point?
So there has been, you're right, there has been a divide of solid growth, but what looked like a weakening labor market. And that can be explained by rising productivity. But I would say we do see signs of certainly of the unemployment rate stabilizing. So it may be we're seeing the beginning of the resolution of those two things. Also, as you probably know, the lore is that when GDP and the labor market get into an argument, in the end, the labor market data is more reliable. GDP data is just very hard to collect and understand, but nonetheless, I think we may be seeing that tension resolving a little bit. Too soon to say with any confidence, though.
Matt Egan.
Matt Egan with CNN. Chair Powell, after today, you have 2 meetings left as Fed chair. You've obviously experienced a lot during your time as Fed chair, served under multiple presidents. I'm wondering what advice you have for whoever your successor might be.
Honestly, I'd say a couple of things. One is stay out of elected politics. Don't get pulled into elected politics. Don't do it. And that's another thing. Well, another is that, our window into democratic accountability is Congress. And it's not a passive burden for us to go to Congress and talk to people. It's an affirmative, regular obligation. If you want democratic legitimacy, you earn it by your interactions with our elected overseers. And so it's something you need to work hard at, and I have worked hard at it. So, and the last thing is, it's easy to criticize government institutions so many ways. I will tell whoever it is, you're about to meet the most qualified group of people you not only have ever worked with, you will ever work with. And when you meet Fed staff, and not everybody's perfect, but there isn't a better cadre of professionals more dedicated to the public well-being than work at the Fed.
Thanks for that answer. If I may follow up, as I'm sure you've noticed, gold and silver prices have experienced historic gains of late. And I'm wondering how much attention if any, you pay to those moves, and what message you may take from these significant price increases we've seen for precious metals?
Don't take much message macroeconomically. The argument can be made that we're losing credibility or something. It's simply not the case. If you look at where inflation expectations are, our credibility is right where it needs to be. So we look at those things. We don't get spun up over particular asset price changes, although we do monitor them, of course.
Nicole, for the last question.
Last.
Hi, Nicole Goodkind-Barron's. Some prominent critics have charged that the Fed's economic models are somewhat backward-looking, but should be more forward-looking, incorporating things like productivity increases from AI. How do you incorporate current and future developments into your analysis and decision-making, and do you have an answer to those critics?
Yeah, so by and large, those criticisms, as somebody on the inside, they just don't make sense, and I'll tell you why. Every FOMC participant writes down a forecast every quarter, right? The summary of economic projections, and that's the basis for how we think about the economy. So, and the other thing is, what an economic model can do is it can grind up all the data for the last number of years, 50 years, let's say, and it can identify what are the relationships between variables A, B, C, D, and all that kind of thing. And it can tell you if you change one of those variables, this is what should happen in the macroeconomy. That's just the way it works. However, the structure of the macroeconomy is constantly changing. For example, we hadn't had a pandemic in 100 years. It wasn't in the model. And we knew it from the very beginning. It was not in the model. A trade war of this scope, we'd never had that in 100 years. And so there's great uncertainty at different points. Another thing I'll say is, when it comes to, technological developments that raise potential output, some kind of technological revolution, like happened in the 90s here, and like maybe happening now with AI, we're all over that. And everyone studies those periods, and we're very clear-eyed about the possibility that this higher productivity may persist. And also that it may not. We're not. No one's sitting here unaware of the possibility of higher productivity. We've been talking about it for 3 years. It long predates the current situation. It's been going on for 5 or 6 years. We've had productivity higher. We've been talking about it that whole time. So it's very much on our minds, and we are well aware that higher productivity means higher potential output, and it changes the way you think about potentially inflation, growth, labor market, and all those things. That's all in our models. I mean, if it's just a question of using better models, bring them on. Where are they? We'll take them. But I think, we certainly are in contact with anybody who does economic modeling, and we're always looking to do better at that. But that's how I think about that.
And just a quick follow-up. We've been talking a lot about tariffs and passing through, and we've been talking a lot about them for the past few months. The trade landscape is still in a constant state of flux. Announcements, threats, negotiations, they're all frequently changing. So I'm wondering how you actually track these, what data or channels are most critical to follow this in real time?
Trade?
Yeah, the impact of tariffs and how they're changing.
Yeah, I think our staff has done a really nice job on that, and they've kind of put it together in real time. So as I mentioned, a tariff gets put in place. You can pretty much track its effects on pricing and on everything, and so you build a model up from all of the tariffs. At the beginning, it was very much of a forecast. Now it's every cycle that goes by, it becomes more informed by actual data, and our forecasts were not far off. What changed was, as I think I said earlier, what was implemented was smaller than what was announced. In addition, we didn't see retaliation internationally, and I think people did generally expect that because we saw that in the past, and that really mattered too. And then the other thing is that pass-through didn't know how fast that was going to be to consumers, didn't know how much exporters would take, how much companies in the middle would take, and how much the consumer would take. And it turns out it's a lot of companies in the middle who, by the way, are pretty strongly committed to passing the rest of it through, which is one of the reasons why we need to keep our eye on inflation and not declare victory prematurely.
Thank you.
We're done?
We're done.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Two more. Two more of this, fam. Two more of this. There he goes. Your own Papa Powell, fam. How we doing, guys? Oscar Ramos live for 2.5+ hours. We got Rubio, we got Trump, and we got Powell on January 28, 2026. Tomorrow is going to be huge, so I'm going to tell you, of course, get ready, prepare now. So, do you guys like my poll? You guys like my poll? I hope you like my poll. Come on, it's a big poll. It's a beautiful poll. It's who do you want for Fed chair? SBF. If you don't know who SBF, raise your hand if you don't know who SBF is. Because if you don't know, you are so innocent. And we're glad you're not corrupted by sin. Oh my goodness. CC, Brad, your daddy, Garlinghouse, and Trump. So there you go. Very good, everybody. Very good. Now, I'm excited. I'm very happy and grateful with all of you for being here. Thank you to all my admins. Thank you to all my members. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody here, of course. I'm out 2.5 hours of live. I think I gave you a lot, everybody. Thank you. Even we had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we managed. And by now, you know, tomorrow we're going to have something big for crypto on Monday too. So before it's too late, do your own research. Do whatever you want. It's your money, not mine. But I'm going all in because I don't want microwave, immediate, instant gratification. I want long-term success. Long-term success. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. And you know what to do. So the links are down below. Very happy and thankful with all of you. That was Jerome Powell. And man, what a crazy one, right? So, yeah, everyone's saying and talking about it and the latest. So there's going to be more. The news never ends. I'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. God bless you all. Peace. Take care, fam.